So we are 2 minutes over the 10, or Central European time at least. So we can kick it off. Welcome everyone. Let me share the screen so everyone can see the notes. I see that everyone already put themselves in the meeting attendees list. So let's start a bit with the community time block, some status updates. If you look into the milestone number 9 for the release of, sorry, wrong link. For the release of 08.3, we have left a lot of small documentation tickets, which mainly, the majority of them at least, it's a very good first issue. So we can ask the community member to also help us here. And the only content for code is the following, which was already addressed by Thomas, so we can close it.
Do we have a linked PR?
The issue is this type of work has been done into the Argo CD repo.
But we can still link the PR.
Yes, just we need to find it. I will link it afterwards. And then we have 2 working items, the SLO feature parity. All the work has been completed. You see this huge epic. Thanks a lot for everyone contributing to this. It was a huge effort. And we can mark it as completed. So we can close it. One thing to say is we have the feature implemented, but it's still behind the feature flag because we want to first finish this epic so we can do a release. You can play with this new feature about the analysis. And if you find any error, we have one extra release to fix everything before we enable everything by default. But you should expect in 0.9 this feature to be enabled by default. And the second point is the umbrella chart, which is also the second point that I wanted to discuss a bit in the status updates. We want to change the way of installing Keptn. Instead of having one single microservice release, have the possibility to really pick and choose your own tool. If you want to follow having tracing and metrics, metrics of your deployment, you can use the lifecycle operator. If you just want, to scale your workloads and have metrics and analysis and quality gates, you can just install the metric server if you want. And for that, I would like to ask Moritz some status updates for this epic.
Yeah. So we are, I would say, 80% there. We have Helm charts for all the different modules, components, sub-projects, whatever you want to call them, microservices. So there's a Helm chart for the metrics operator now. There's one for lifecycle operator plus scheduler. They go hand in hand basically. And then there's one for the Keptn cert manager. That's the 3 kind of separate components that we have now. And what we are almost done working on right now is the umbrella chart for Keptn. So that's kind of what the old chart kind of will transform into. Instead of having everything all together in one chart, we will have this umbrella chart, which just has dependencies to the other ones, so that everything is kind of more independent and we have flexibility with releases, for example. So this gives us also the possibility to kind of have an implicit compatibility matrix. So the Keptn Helm chart will always have compatible versions or the intercompatible versions of all of our components inside with the right versions. So you can kind of have confidence when you install Keptn that you will get compatible versions of everything in one box, basically. And then you can still pick and choose with feature flags what parts of Keptn you want to have. So do you want to have metrics operator and cert manager only, or you want to have cert manager so you disable our cert manager, for example. So yeah, this basically brings flexibility for the Keptn team to kind of release parts separately and ensure that everything is still compatible, and then for users to pick and choose what you actually want to have from Keptn to achieve whatever use case you want to achieve, basically. Yeah, as I said, the status is kind of 80%. We have charts. The things that are missing are some automated testing and um, all the pipeline changes, which is basically after automated testing, only automated releases. Um, but yeah, I think that's kind of all that is important right now for this. There's also a good first issue actually, that somebody already grabbed, I think.
Yes, it's on the
Even though
bottom.
Yes.
it's still on hold because it's kind of blocked by other issues still. So yeah, I put the dependency at the top here actually. 2184 is the umbrella chart. Um, yeah, so this can be worked on probably in a few days.
Awesome.
And we do need to document how you work with these things too, which shouldn't be huge.
Sorry?
We need to document how the installation documentation will
Yeah, yeah,
change.
yeah. We have an open issue for that as well.
Right. A question. Are we going to settle on what these things are? Are they sub-projects? Are they modules? Are they components? We're all kind of tripping over it, and it might, you know, I'm using various terms in the docs. It's a little awkward.
Yeah.
Or is that something we're gonna need to wait for?
That could also be one part of the general restructuring of information in the docs, I think.
Yeah,
I saw that you already started with the word list. We can also add it then to that when
yeah.
we actually have decided on something. But yes, you're right. I think we should pin that down somewhere so that everybody knows what we're talking about, and also we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It does take a lot of fun out of things, but
Yeah, so that
Part
should also be part of, or at least the updates to it should also be part of the general rework of information. I actually already created an epic for that. It's still work in progress. It's
yeah.
2222. If you want to add that, Johnny.
sorry, I was typing and couldn't read. Listen, could you repeat,
This
please?
will be fixed in the information rework epic, which is 2222.
Really?
I sent it in. Yep.
2222. Nice.
2222.
Easy to remember.
Yeah, I just created this today. So it's still work in progress, but we don't need to rush this.
Awesome. Then I want to say also that the Matrix API will be bumped to beta with the next release after, actually. So
Does that mean the name of the API libraries changes?
mm, yes,
Yeah, we're gonna have. We had V1
V1 beta 1.
V1 Alpha 3 until now, and we're gonna have V1 Beta 1.
exactly. So now that the work of Raksheet is completed with GSOC, it did an amazing job. And also after the analysis, we have basically all the feature sets and we don't plan to evolve more. So I think we are ready to, upgrade to beta. Not yet stable because we want to still see how user will use these features and see if they have new requirements before we go into stable. But in terms of feature set for our Matrix API, I think we reach a very great solid state. Anything else that we would like to discuss for the community? time block
Um,
updates. Yes, Mike.
a question, is there a way, I mean, I'm gonna have to go through and make a manual pass for that little V1 alpha. You, is there a way that we could set that up to have some sort of variable that I could go through and rather than do the V1 beta one, I could put the variable in so that the next time we could do that more easily? Is there?
That's why we would like to just use auto-generated documentation. This way, we don't have anything to be done manually.
But still, you would need to link to it from other pages. So those links still need to be updated.
Yeah, fair.
But those ones should probably be easily fixable with the global search and replace.
Yeah,
Yes.
and those examples, we change them in the code, so when they're generated into the docs, we'll have automatically already B1 beta 1.
Yeah, I think we need a explicit ticket to make all of this embedded before we change to beta one so that they will be automatically there.
Okay.
Yep.
The CRD reference files, there's some issues. We'll look at it, but
And for this would be, we know it's one page to change, so it's not huge problem. But I will do that, so I will see how painful it is, and then we can create a strategy out of that.
okay.
So hello, Rakshit, and welcome. I was just discussing that after you finish your GSOC project and we finish with the analysis feature, we don't have any more new feature in the horizon for the metrics API. So we wanted to bump them from alpha, to beta.
Sounds great.
Okie dokie.
Do
If
we
there are
have a
no,
ticket for the bump already?
no. I was looking into this morning that everything is completed. There is nothing in the backlog for metrics. So I was thinking about this. I also
Will you
talked
take that
last.
over, or should I create a ticket?
If you can, thank you very much. Then assign directly to me.
Sure.
Dankeschön.
We're still working on the controller logic. So should we wait for that, or should we? I'm
Yes.
still working on the controller logic.
We will wait until you're basically done with the GSOC project fully. And we also
Okay.
have released the analysis feature, and then we'll change the
All right.
version to beta. But I want to create a ticket already so that we have it planned in the backlog.
Yeah, this is nothing that we will do tomorrow. But I wanted just to announce to the community that speak now if you have any idea about how the metric API might change, so we still stay in in alpha. Otherwise, if there are no further breaking changes, I will bump to beta. And the ticket
All
could be a great platform to discuss these type of things.
Yes.
Then, if there are no further community time block points, we can go over to the documentation part. And I
And we
guess
can,
this is from you, Meg.
right. And we could do this part of refinement too. Other than that, the things I've been working on is just getting these new features documented. Plus we're having discussions. There's a ticket out there. It's an unpleasant experience right now if you come to the Keptn landing page and look at the use cases and start clicking from there. It's not taking people where we want. This is going to be part of a much bigger, we need to revamp, but we want to do kind of a quick fix to make it a little less painful in the meantime. So if anybody's interested in that, let us know and we'll let you. But I think we've got a temporary solution to it. So do we want to do this, or do you want to refine some other stuff because that might be higher priority than this, Giovanni?
Now we can go ahead with this because I also see this killer code online demo, and I would vote for closing this ticket because no one. So what we discover is that killer code unfortunately has a very limited amount of resources.
Mm-hmm.
Running a full Keptn demo there is not very possible. And we need to mock 90% of things. So is it really worth having a killer code demo?
Probably not.
So let's use a feature of Zoom now. Poll, create a poll. So shall we have a killer code demo? Yes and no.
Yes, no, maybe, I'm afraid.
Single choice.
Let's think about it.
So now it's your time to vote.
Yeah.
And whoever says yes
We'll do it.
Owns it, yeah.
owns it. Yes. See how things are changing after the owning aspect.
Right. I mean, it might be better. I can't remember the GitHub feature that gives you sort of an environment. That might be a better place to invest if we need it sometime, right?
Code spaces.
Code spaces, that's it.
Although it's quite limited as well because you have a
Okay.
set amount of hours that you can use.
Oh,
And if a
okay.
user already did a tutorial somewhere else or play with that, they won't have any more
No.
credits for that. So
Mhm.
Spent a lot doing the guides in a way that are runnable on your own machine. So
Yeah.
Yeah, all our guides are locally executable, so it should be
everything
fine.
is being possible to do. Yeah.
Right.
So I see 6 out of 7 people have already voted. Whoever didn't vote, please, you have still 20 seconds.
I
And
maybe
we
have read the question wrong. What was the question in the poll?
shall we have a killer code demo?
Oh
Yes
shit, okay.
or no?
I didn't read it, or I read too fast. I thought it's, shall we close the ticket or not?
Oh, Mo, you will do
Anyway,
it.
everyone voted and there is a majority, 57% of no, 43% yes. And I can share the results so you can also see.
I will
So
comment. I mean, I'll make a comment that it would be lovely if we could have such a thing or some sort of an easier way. And if somebody wants to come in and do it in the future, they can, but um
uh, eh, but if someone wants to maintain, feel free to reopen this ticket.
by the way, Adam's comment up there is worth reflect that we have a repo and the tutorials ready and waiting to be deployed. I don't know how old it is. If there's anybody out there who's interested in this and wants to play with it, they could certainly go and try it.
The issue of the old Keptn v1 Killer Code demo, it was a GSOC project,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know exactly who was
No, it actually
owning.
wasn't. It was not, but it was somebody who came in who actually wanted they wanted to do some big project, and they were the ones who introduced this to Killer Coda. Right.
Then
Just saying that if any community people are out there who are saying, gee, I was really hoping I get to do a Killer Coda, there is something out there that a lot of the work is done on. But we can still close this ticket.
yeah, I close it and now. Second ticket in your list, the create documentation, add examples for the Keptn app creation request, sorry. What would you like to discuss about this, Meg?
We actually do not mention the Keptn app create request, etc., and we don't discuss the caveats that are mentioned in this issue.
So the
So
Keptn app
that's,
creation
do we
request.
need a new issue about how automatic app discovery works? We sort of have instructions for how to use it and sort of to say here it is, and if you want to do it by hand, here's the reference page for the
Yeah, the
resource.
thing about this Keptn app creation request is a CRD that is created for 30 seconds and then it's deleted.
Uh-huh.
And we use that in order to auto discover things. So this is a CRD that we create, we add info there, and after this timeout period is finished, we said, okay, no more workloads have been submitted to your Kubernetes cluster. So we believe your application is fully deployed. So we kill it afterwards. So this is not anything that users have to provide. It's
Right.
something.
So
Oh,
it wouldn't be
afterwards,
done.
yeah.
It would be an architecture thing, though. What we don't say, in fact, I would see that it just as a reference in the architecture that says we create this thing and it checks. But like what happens if I later add some more workloads to my app and want to fold those in?
It will be the same if you add more apps, if they just have the right annotations. When you have part of, then
Yeah.
we add that.
But
So
it's just a question whether we need an architecture piece about how this works under the covers, and certainly not a long one, but or is it just something that the people don't need to know, or they can read the source code and see it?
I would rather go with that.
Okay. That's why I
Because
What
didn't
would be
there. I
interesting
closed a
though,
couple, but this was worth discussing. It's
yes.
what would be interesting though is to have maybe a small piece about how to add more workloads to your Keptn app after the fact. That would be
right.
interesting, I think,
I
if it's
think
not
we
documented
have
already.
a little sentence in the tutorial where we use auto generation. Contributor added it recently, where it explains that you can take that app and add manually and reapply, and this will start over, things like that. Is
Well,
this enough?
it should not be in the
Sure.
tutorial. It should be in this guide chapter to add.
I think the discussion should be, what do we want user to do? Because my understanding was that this automated app is a way to ease entering the word of Keptn, but then people should do things for their own. So I would not expect that this feature is used in an intensive way. I don't know.
No, this feature should be just when you want to have traceability of your deployments. If you don't want to use pre and post checks, you want just to see what's happening when you're deploying the new version of your app, then you just install our operator and you have traces out of the box without any manifest change on your app. So this is not nothing I would say that it's worth to document.
Okay, and I'll create a new issue for what Mo says about what if you want to add workloads later automatically, which
I thought
I
that's
think
done.
That's done, yes. It's the part of what Anna said that some community member added a sentence for that.
is it in the guide chapters in the tutorial?
Let me look.
Because tutorials should be something you use when it shouldn't be something you're constantly referencing, I wouldn't think.
See. Let's have touch create. Then architecture diagram.
Ah, yes.
I think we need to ping this contributor. was here.
And if we redo it now, we should probably do it by, I mean, that drawing is just, you can't even view it. I make it as big as I can, but we really should do it by component now too, and then just show how the components interact, right?
Or we can have a nice ASCII art.
Ah,
So we can use text. Contribute guide. This is one, Meg. What do you like to talk about?
let's see, got it here. Oh, I think we should, there's some things to still be added, but I think we should just close this as epic and say we've
Okay.
got a contributing guide that's mostly the big thing that we are well, we've got the stuff on how to, I've got the material to write up how to set up your development environment. And then the other big thing that we do not have is guidelines for software contributions, which is a short list. But I don't know if it's worth holding the Epic open for that, or if we just do that later as an add-on.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Adequate.
Yeah. You can
It'll
run
do it.
refine it in apps. Perfect. And then how to write a provider.
Yeah, we had a cast of thousands who wanted to work on this, but there was never a PR. I don't quite know what happened to it. Anybody, Rakshit, did you have some involvement in that?
I think Prateek was writing some fake provider, I guess. Someone was working on a fake provider, as far as I can remember.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, this
Ratek. Yep, I
I
remember
think he
as
So
well.
there's
closed
a
it.
closed PR, yeah. There's a closed PR attached, but that's it. Nobody's working on it anymore.
Yeah, but we don't mean to merge that PR. It's just to be copied in the docs, right? Was it in a good state?
It was not completed.
No. But I think that is still relevant, so I think we should keep that open.
My question
Wait.
would be, can't we just take one of the three provider as an example and use that in the documentation?
Yeah.
Maybe removing some of the inner part of the code.
Do you remember what's the label?
Just
Or
Hacktoberfest.
just like this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but you also need it on the repo, I think. I will add it. Oh, we have it actually.
Okay.
Beer color.
Oh, it's pumpkin color. October.
Yeah. So maybe someone working Oktoberfest can pick it up. Okay, so we went through all of these issues. Shall we close this ticket,
Yes.
Meg? Perfect.
I'll do another one, but I was so bored with working with it. I thought that's enough for one meeting. We'll do another set in a couple of weeks.
Done. Perfect.
Yay.
So let's start first from need discussion tickets before we go through the refinement tickets. Then let's open all of this. How to use Keptn with Argo rollouts.
I already provided an answer. I think we can fix that in the restructuring epic.
That's
Or
true.
not necessarily fix it, but rather think about a nice way to do it.
Yeah, let's tie it to that epic. I think you're right. Yes,
Yeah, I don't think we need to do that right away.
good.
In that sense, it also is not ready for refinement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good question, Mike. Should we have both getting started and tutorials?
I think we also already talked about that briefly and agreed that we don't need tutorials right now.
Right, but as soon as we did that, I deleted tutorials, and 3 days later, somebody put it back. That's why I thought let's make it part of the public record here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get the difference between user guides and tutorials anyways.
Or no, there's a difference between user guides and tutorials. There's not a difference between getting started and tutorials, I'm thinking.
Yeah, a user guide doesn't have to be something 100% working from
Right.
A
But
to
a
Z.
user guide also has to be more comprehensive. A tutorial is sort of an easy path through, and the user guide has to tell you all the different things you can do and how you do them.
So we should move whatever is in tutorial under getting started.
Yes.
Perfect. Fine. Ready. Okay, so we can remove also both labels, and there is a nice definition of done when we can close this ticket.
Yes.
Then Flo from you.
This is, yeah, exactly, because this is feedback from one of our users. So basically the mutating webhook configuration that we are using for enabling the mutating webhook for the pods when you manage an application with Keptn, that's a cluster-wide resource, and by default, we enable that for all namespaces and exclude a couple of them. Like for example, the namespace the Keptn is running in, but it might be also good. That's the feedback we received, to only enable this webhook explicitly for certain namespaces. So kind of the other way around, because this can, if not set up properly, can easily mess with the whole cluster. And this would be a safer option of trying out Keptn without with limiting the blast radius if something with the webhook isn't working.
What if there's no option available? Sorry, no list of namespace is available. We do that cluster-wide or empty. We don't work in any namespace.
Giovanni, I linked the correct link in the chat.
Thank you. So, to explain what I wanted to check,
Sorry,
basically, we will have a new key, and instead of having not in, it will be in, and there will be a well-defined list of namespaces that will be provided at via value.yum files. of them. But if this list is empty, what will be the behavior?
I
No
think it's a
namespace will be
logical
controlled.
and. No, among the keys.
Huh?
Isn't it a logical and among the keys?
Not in any of these.
No, I mean that, for instance, we have control plane should be not in lifecycle operator and
Yes,
main
exactly.
data should not in. So if we have something which is the opposite of this, they will kind of.
That's not my issue. If
Hmm.
if no one will provide any value, should be like this, that we don't operate in any namespace, or should be
Star.
like this, where we do operate in like we are currently doing.
The second option.
Yeah.
Me too. But my question is, can the two key coexist together? So can we have not in and in at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think so. Because this way you can have any.
I think we need to try this out to be certain.
Because those are coming from standard Kubernetes. These are ours and the one that we use for demos. Be interesting to see if we put both. I think it's top down, the priority. When it matches the first one, that namespace, but worth to give it a shot. And I guess we can remove need discussion. Oh, I was thinking, document this installation page.
Maybe an integration test.
All agree with the content?
Yes.
Perfect. Then improve the getting started guide. Do we need this since Adam did an amazing job in reworking the whole getting started guide?
We don't have a good getting started guide just for metrics now, and we're going to need one metrics and analysis or something. I don't know if those would be.
Okay.
But this is actually an improvement ticket. I think we should not reuse that for metrics.
No, you are
Yeah.
right.
Actually, we should. I think I did not know that Adam was working on that other one. I think when I wrote this up.
Okay, Meg, can I ask you to go over the ticket and see if it still applies? Otherwise, feel free to close the
Otherwise,
ticket.
to kill it. Yeah, that's
Yes, exactly. Thank you. And perfect. We have only that one left. And here, let's change things. Actually, we can go over the good first issue first. So committee member can work on this. This is naming is the hardest problem of computer science type of ticket. We started with workload instance, but all the other resources are called version, app version, task version, I guess it's called. So we should also rename this from workload instance to workload version. And
I think Geoffrey volunteered for this. Maybe it would be nice if we quickly go through where this is in the code.
also I see Rakshit We'll pick it up after GSOC.
Yeah, there is a started, but probably old PR.
Let's refine the ticket first. We should change all the types and the documentation for that, and also the architecture diagram if possible. But I think architecture diagram is basically not there anymore. So just change all the types and the regenerated documentation, basically.
This
We do
includes
still
all
have
of
the
the
architecture
tasks,
diagram in the README.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we should just
all of the
delete that.
tasks and the YAML file in the documentation also. Yeah.
This one, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I need to find my Miro board for this.
That is
Where?
so old, and I wonder if we should even, if we're not going to replace it, that we might be better off to just remove it.
And post it to the report. Because I think it's only PNG at the moment. Yeah. I need to publish the SVG for that. Then move Helm docs into value files. Moritz, can you go over this ticket?
Yeah. So until now we had a values file with no documentation, and then a doc.yaml file next to it with all of the documentation for all the values. That was kind of a workaround to get Helmify to not remove our docs every time we regenerate the chart. But since we don't use Helmify anymore now, we can go back to have the documentation annotation comments right next to the values. And that actually applies to all the different charts that we have now, all the separate ones. So yeah, basically it's moving around comments into different files, and then also changing the Helm docs generator script to kind of cope with that new file name then. That should be it basically. Yeah, and the pipeline, the Helm check pipeline needs to be slightly adjusted probably. But that should be fairly straightforward.
I think if we change this file, then the pipeline should be out of the box. Because we
Probably.
call it. But yeah.
Probably. So yeah, but this ticket still depends on the umbrella chart, which is not done yet. So this is not ready to be worked on yet.
Yes, I changed the layout so it's more clear when this will be finished or when the dependency is resolved.
Yeah, but we do actually have an assignee already, as far as I remember.
Yes,
I don't think.
I forgot the name.
I don't
Rakit.
remember. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Then landing page.
Yeah. So this came out of a short discussion yesterday. We want to slightly adjust how you get to the documentation from the landing page. And we discussed to slightly change titles here, and then also kind of where those get started buttons take you in the documentation. Yeah, we have very specific changes here in mind. I actually like put down everything very specifically, so that it's easy to check off step by step, basically. Some of the things are in the documentation to change, which Meg already started working on. There's an open PR for that needs a review. And then the stuff on the landing page directly, that needs to be changed on the page branch, on the index page there, to get that. onto the live page, basically.
Yeah. And Giovanni, if you scroll down, I've got specifics about where I think we should point from those places. Um,
Perfect. I think it's very straightforward. Everything is well defined.
yes. It was not going to make it perfect, but I think it's going to make it a lot better than it is in the short term.
Perfect. Then another ticket about renaming from KLT to Keptn and user visible strings. Yes. So I think this we cannot do at the moment.
Yeah, there is a dependency in another ticket. Sorry, I didn't put it. It's somewhere down.
So what you're saying is with this ticket, we are solving this.
With the change in the other ticket, we can then do the change in the documentation files and everything. Yeah.
Okie dokie. Which was a okie dokie. And here is in the auto app discovery, we are adding a label to the Keptn app to know if it was user defined or we defined that. And we add this label managed by KLT, and we should change that to managed by Keptn. And that should be it for this ticket, right, Anna?
Yeah, we discussed we will probably keep both label at reading time in the controller and overwrite it to the new label. But...
Read both, write one.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a, what do you call it, grace period where user can migrate their Keptn app to the new label. And then last ticket to refine for today, but it's on old, on oopsie, on what it's on holding this ticket.
Sorry, it depends on the chart.
Yeah, it depends on the umbrella chart. It's not on hold, or I mean, it's kind of on hold right now, but.
What's the umbrella chart?
1618.
Thank you. Okay, test all charts. This is for testing. And those are the testing scenarios that you want to verify. Test only the metric operator, test only the lifecycle operator, only the cert manager. Isn't this the same of this?
This
no,
cert
manager
manager is IO. Yeah, sorry. I don't know if you have anything else in mind that should be tested here.
I changed the dependency. I added the wrong dependency.
No, I think everything is good. Scenarios make sense to me. Then I think we are over all tickets. Yes, nice. Anything else from the community that you would like to discuss? Looks like no. So thank you everyone for joining. Have a nice rest of your day and talk to you next time. Bye bye.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Yeah.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.